baby, I'm trying to get away. Trying to lock in the guap, trying to block with the pain. I'm a blind little boss, I'm on top of the game. I've been tight in the lot, now I'm tossing your bait. Yeah, my pops got caught, didn't lock them away. My mom fought hard, 5 jobs in a day. I'll be dropping the box, and I'm copping the pain. We off to the stars to a tropical place. Ooh, yeah, I'm spitting it heavy, the mission is steady. Your bitches are jelly, I'm ditching the petty. You're digging for pennies, I'm itching and ready. I open my heart when I listen to Shetty. I'm bold like a boss, but I'm little like Debbie. I know what your bras, I got richer than Getty. I'm holding the guap and I'm whipping the Yeti, yeah, Kari can play with advanced moves. I'm fucking my girl and her man too. I'm taking the ball like the ran do. My soul is the one that I can't lose. I soak up the sun like a sand dune. I'm holding up love with the bamboo. I'm rolling the blunt by the candle. Taking the game, running it back without taking a drink. Yeah, I'm the one and I'm making a wave. Rolling the blunt and I'm blazing a J. I'm escaping the brain, go straight for the cake. I'ma take to the bank, now taking a break. I'm made for the race, I pray for the day. I wake with a bake in the greatest state.
Welcome back, everybody. It's the NFL Sunday pregame show. I'm Jay, that's Maddie, and we got some NFL news to kick it off the day.
Dak Prescott has signed a contract with the Dallas Cowboys, is basically how we're starting the show. Because 10 minutes ago, obviously we're about, like an hour and a half away from kickoff. Jerry Jones has decided to make it all Dallas Cowboys because he knows that the Dallas Cowboys aren't playing until the late window. We said this is where he could have put it. We said he could either do it on the Sunday to make sure it's all Dallas Cowboys talk. We know how much he loves the media. Or we thought he might have put it on Thursday to make the opening night of the season all about the Dallas Cowboys talk as well. So breakdown of the contract there, Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but $240 million. 231 million guaranteed 4-year contract, so around 60 million a year, with only 9 million of it not guaranteed, making Dak Prescott the highest paid player of all time.
Except if I'm not mistaken, I think Deshaun Watson still had more guaranteed money by by a couple million.
2 million or something, which is interesting because obviously they're playing each other tonight as well. So it's a battle of the fully guaranteed 230 million quarterbacks. Hopefully Dak Prescott gives us more for our money than Deshaun Watson has given the Browns so far. What do you make of this deal for the Dallas Cowboys?
I think the Dallas fucked up with, well, we can go back 4 years. I think the biggest mistake was on Dak.
Yeah, how would you say?
I think he took another team for even more in offseason. I think Dak could have pushed 65. I mean, it might sound crazy, but you get into a bidding war, maybe Dak hit 70.
Yeah, because you can look at the way that the deal is structured, and as you say, I think Deshaun Watson got about 2-3 million more in fully guaranteed money. Well, Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson.
Also, the Cowboys just put themselves in the same position for the next 4 years that they were in
this offseason.
Yeah, and then I don't know exactly how it works, but how do they fit into the new contract, the 60 million dead cap for next year? I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to wait a couple of days till over the cap or Sports Track puts it in.
Yeah,
so that was my first. Actually dissect the contract, and people know I'm not a huge fan, but I also need to wait until Florio breaks this down for me because he actually gets to read it, and he's a lawyer.
Florio and his lawyer work, as we've said on this show, is the reason to watch Florio straight away. My first immediate thought was, what happens to the money that Dak Prescott is already owed? Does he roll into this contract? Is that where it's going to be? Is this what he's
well, that's got to start next year, right? It's not going to start today. So because he's still going to make his whatever the fuck he's making this year. I don't remember.
It's a silly amount of money this year, but he also has plenty of money in dead years. So I wonder if those dead years, they're going to move them to the end of his next contract. And it just so with the Dallas Cowboys, do you know what's happened, Jay? They've got signed the players that they wanted to get signed at the start of the window before the season kicks off. So great work on that front. The issue is you wait a window too long for Dak Prescott, and CeeDee Lamb, I kind of get. I would have signed him last year for cheaper, but I get it. You should have got the deal done before Justin Jefferson. But
my argument isn't even what year. I mean, I agree with you, but my argument isn't even what year you paid CD. It's why did it take so long? We all knew what CD Lamb was going to get.
So that's what I found so strange about that. That's why I found so strange about the CD deal. And if you're going to make this Dak Prescott deal, by the way, like I feel like Dak's agents. It was heavily reported that the Dak Prescott contract was $60 million from a very long way out this year. That's what Dak was asking for, and lo and behold, we've reached the end of the season, and you've paid him 60. So what? Why haven't we just had that before? And I genuinely do think it is to do a little bit with the media attention that Jerry Jones wants on the Cowboys deals. I really do. I feel like he waits for to wait an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it is before kickoff. I think that is a massive we'll just we'll wait for that specific time to make sure that we're the headline story and to make sure that we've got it done. I think that plays massively into it.
Why are they never preemptive when it comes to contracts? So the Vikings just spent a year and a half shedding bad contracts and old players. No offense to the players. Some of them can still play. That's not a shot, but they just spent a year and a half putting themselves into having a ton of cap room moving forward, where Jerry and the Vikings just had to work around a couple guys, and Kurt walked away, which made it simpler to do this. So now you're just working around.
And Danielle Hunt.
Right. But I'm saying Kirk was the big one, right? That contract. So then you got now they're working around is Justin Jefferson and Christian Darrisaw for huge contracts. So I don't understand why Jerry's doing the Rick Spielman approach of just kicking the can down the road, unless he just thinks, hey, we have a shot at the Super Bowl. I'm going to take it, and I don't give a fuck what happens. But I'm like, if you would have just signed CD last year, that gives you more room to maneuver. Maybe it still takes you this long to get Dak signed, but now you have Micah signed a year early instead of now next year you have the same thing. Just get on the Micah deal, and let's just get that over with.
Start the Micah deal. Start the Micah deal now, start the Micah deal now, which he won't do because he's going to let the media talk about Dak Prescott's contract for the next. Probably, I feel like we talk about Dak Prescott's contract, whether he's signed a contract, whether he's the middle of a contract, whether he's at the end of the contract. Dak Prescott's contract, since he came into the league about, what is it now, 8-10 years ago that Dak Prescott came into 2016. So 8 years ago that Dak Prescott came into the league. I feel like every conversation around him is based on his contract, even when he was a rookie. So we'll be talking about Dak Prescott's contract, I'm sure, for the next year, and then we'll put a Micah Parsons contract, and they'll put a Micah Parsons contract, and they'll say, "Oh, the reason this took so long is because of Dak Prescott's contract." So,
and I don't mean to be funny
for a long time,
but if you would have just did some of these contracts ahead of time, you guys could have easily re-signed Stephon Gilmore or signed a J.C. Jackson, even if it's just for 1 year. A lot of times teams will just plug some dude for 1 year, but you didn't even have enough cap room to take anybody above fucking Kendricks, who I love Kendricks, but he's old and he's slow now. So it's you could have upgraded a team that was in a Super Bowl window. It just doesn't make sense to me, but good for Dak, get paid.
Yeah. So for me, I'm happy that the Cowboys have got the Dak Prescott deal done. We've spoken about it. I don't think that Dak Prescott is worth $60 million a year, but I'm not sure how many quarterbacks are worth $60 million a year, because it's just a next man up mentality. And what is your option? This team is, whether people are really low on them this year, but this team is in a Super Bowl window.
Let's quote Dak: "The market's the market."
Yeah, exactly. The market is the market, right? So you stand and you just go, right, what are our options? It's either we play so shit this year that we're in a good position to draft a quarterback this year. There's not going to be many for a long time. There's not going to be many 4th round quarterbacks anymore due to the amount of due diligence on quarterbacks in college nowadays. There's not going to be many 4th round quarterbacks who make it. So you've got to be in a good position to pick in the 1st round to get your quarterback, or we trade for another quarterback, or we hit the free agency market, and nobody out there is better than Dak Prescott. There is no option better than Dak Prescott at quarterback. It's the most important position in football. Pay him his $60 million. Now, the biggest issue is the fact that if you paid him his 60 million earlier, it is a lot easier to move money around to keep and sign players. Maybe we get a better running back room at that point. Maybe we get, as you say, could have kept hold of Stephen Gilmore. Like there's those spots, but I'm happy that the deal's done. I think it's important that the Cowboys got it done.
If you guys would have kept everybody pretty much from last year, I did this on our last show of the year last year. I had the Cowboys as my way too early pick for the Super Bowl. But because of the offseason craziness, I couldn't stay with that going into this year. But I think they kind of shot themselves in the foot a little of getting better. And then just before we move on, when you were talking about fourth-round quarterbacks, I don't remember exactly which round, but watch Spencer Rattler, everybody. He's going to be New Orleans starter next year.
Yeah, Spencer Rattler was like, I think he made it all the way down to like the 5th or the 6th round. I think I was looking at this yesterday, so he could be the one, which would be amazing to me. I'm surprised that someone who really needed a quarterback didn't take a flyer on him in like the 2nd or the 3rd round. To be perfectly honest.
I wonder if his bad reputation from high school followed him, even though we've heard nothing but good things about him in college as a maturing and young adult.
What was the Netflix documentary? Like QB1, was that it, or Friday Night Lights or whatever?
No, it was QB1, and I wanted to slap that kid coming out of that fucking thing. Like,
yeah. Like if he didn't do that, he maybe would have been a 1st round quarterback, or at least a 2nd, 3rd round quarterback. But yeah, so Dak Prescott has signed for the Dallas Cowboys. Big news coming out. We've obviously had to adjust our show for that because he literally came out about 5 minutes before we were meant to go live.
I'm not even going to lie. I got on here because I got home and Maddie's like, I'm looking up the debt contract. And I'm like, what? Like, I didn't even know because I was doing so much to get ready to be in front of the camera. I was like, what?
Because it may surprise you guys, but we aren't professional podcasters yet, so but the only way to get us to that point and to mean we don't have to do jobs and we can actually do more content for you and all of that kind of thing is to like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that kind of stuff. So hit the bell and the notifications and that. But yeah, thanks Jerry for that little snippet and that little curveball at this point. Let's move on with our scheduled showing. And I thought we could start with a bit of reaction to Thursday and Friday night. This is our Sunday pregame show, but obviously we had the first games of the NFL season on Thursday and Friday night. And I thought we could start out with the Chiefs versus the Ravens, Jay. And I think the number one question that lots of people are asking themselves is, does Lamar Jackson have a choking problem when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs?
I think Lamar was the fucking bright spot of that team. So no, I don't think Lamar has a choking problem. I do think that anybody who plays the Chiefs has a problem. Like, you got Patrick Mahomes, and now we just saw receivers with Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know. I don't take too much away from the first week. I think they played too much. I think a lot of it was the play calling. You needed Lamar to play hero ball to even stay in the game. I think that becomes a problem. And I don't remember who I heard say this, but if Likely wears white shoes, that game probably goes to overtime.
Yeah, I think that's a really important thing, isn't it? Because I thought when I was watching the game and he missed Zay Flowers completely open in the end zone, but I think Zay Flowers moves to the side when he should have just stopped and stayed still. I think he does a little jolt to the side, which means he can't get back for the ball. But when he misses that, I'm like, oh no, Lamar's choking. Like, I was like, I can feel him. I can feel him choking right now. And he's played, as you say, he was the best player on the field the entire game. He outplayed Patrick Mahomes. I think he went for 395. Let me just get that up. He went for 395 total yards. Looked like the best player on the pitch. And then I thought, oh no, he's got this choking problem. He's missed Zay Flowers open. And then he hits Isaiah Likely, and it is an inch. It is the paint width from making that play. And that's what it is. Like, he was out. Like, he was out. Like, anybody
right,
saying
but
that he's not.
I like the argument if he was wearing white shoes they might not be able to overturn that because the black really showed he was out of bounds. So that's how close it was. I don't know. I was watching the end of that with Payne Gusto because we were just getting ready to film Freestyle Friday, Overtime Hustling every Friday, 9:00 Central. But we're watching it, getting ready to record, and we're both like, oh, fuck. Like, you know, when he missed Zay Flowers, like, we're both, like, loud, animated at this point over the end of that game. I did say to Payne, though, I said, if Lamar was more accurate, he'd be the scariest quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's not that Lamar isn't accurate. I mean, he did have a 63% pass completion rate in that game, which isn't great. But, I mean, let's remember that the Kansas City defense was in the top 5 of the best defenses last year as well. But, yeah, it's just that inch. And now everybody's saying, like, oh, Lamar has a choking problem against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, he has this mental block. I'm not sure that is it. When he missed Zay Flowers, I thought, oh, okay, maybe, because that's a huge miss. But the Isaiah Likely, that's a great throw, by the way. That's the only place where he could have put that ball. Isaiah Likely also had a great game. Fantasy managers should be worried about that unless they have Isaiah Likely. Because if you have Mark Andrews, that could be a problem for you. If you have Mark Andrews and you don't have Isaiah Likely, you could be in a little bit of trouble here as a fantasy manager, losing out on Mark Andrews, which could be a bit of a shame. And one player that I did want to mention in this game was Derrick Henry. Now, looking at the game, so Derrick Henry went for 46 yards, 3.5 yards an attempt. A lot of people are saying, is Derrick Henry going to have the effect that we thought he was going to have this season? What do you think about Derrick Henry's performance?
I don't think it's Derrick Henry. I think it's the Ravens. We watch the Ravens every year, and they're known as a bruising team, yet we're always talking about the struggles from the running back position. There's something about play calling and that kind of thing that becomes an issue. I don't think it's actually the players. But I also, again, am not going to get too worried about what happened in week 1. I actually think they need to feed Derrick Henry even more so that Lamar doesn't have to play hero ball every fucking game. I think that if the offense ran through Derrick Henry instead of running through Lamar, and I don't mean to disqualify Lamar at all, but it would be easier on Lamar off of play action and everything else. I would keep feeding the running backs the ball if I'm Baltimore. I'd go back to Greg Roman style, pound the ball, and then have Lamar be Lamar instead of trying to be a hero all the time to keep. Because I'll say it again, the only reason they were in that game at the end was because of Lamar.
Yeah, and I agree. And Lamar rushed for 122 yards, which is a crazy amount. But we've spoken about this with Derrick Henry before. Derrick Henry is not actually a bruising running back. Like, he's a scat back. Like, we've said this a lot before. So if you aren't creating those holes, and the Ravens, I think we're just used to the Ravens having a great offensive line, but they've had so much movement on that offensive line this year that it wasn't good last night. On Thursday night, sorry. It was not a good offensive line display from them. That would be the one thing that I would take away from this and be a bit worried about is their offensive line weakness. Derrick Henry was getting hit in the backfield quite a lot and like making the decent amount of yards. But it's also important to remember that Derrick Henry is he ties you out for 3 quarters and then goes huge in the 4th. So if he's only getting 13 carries, that's not the way to utilize Derrick Henry. And I think against the Chiefs, they let Lamar play that way, but I'd be surprised if some of the lesser teams, they won't just ride Derrick Henry out and think, Lamar, let's put you on ice a little bit. You don't need to play this hero ball unless it's against our division rivals or in a big playoff game. So I wouldn't be too worried about it.
They should have done it with Kansas City because then you keep Patrick on the sideline longer, which makes it easier when Mahomes isn't out there being Mahomes. But
yeah,
I would say that anybody who says that Lamar chokes against the Chiefs, then everybody chokes against the Chiefs, right? Like, so I don't understand the argument. I mean, we're in a stretch of the last 4 years. If it wasn't for one game against the Bengals, would we even have a conversation about anybody in the AFC?
Yeah, and it's the I just heard it crazy. I think like it's been Mahomes and Brady have won 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls or something like that. Maybe it's 5 of the last 7 Super Bowls. Obviously, Brady is the only person who hasn't really choked against Mahomes, and obviously he's commentating on the Cowboys Browns game tonight, so he's not in the league anymore. So yeah, I think that's. And what's the most scary thing is, I remember looking at it is, are the Chiefs vulnerable? Is what I had down there, because they should have lost that game. Like, Lamar hits Zay Flowers in the end zone, or he's an inch away from Isaiah Likely. They maybe should have lost that game. But weirdly, even though they should have lost that game, they looked better than last season because of that wide receiver call. And you've already mentioned it.
Yeah, and that's without Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, so that's without Hollywood Brown, without time to connect. Xavier Worthy, Rashid Rice, Noah Gray, obviously Travis Kelce, as well. Isaiah Pacheco running the ball. That is a terrifying offense. That break of play from Xavier Worthy. I can't believe the Bills let the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy again. Like, they need to stop trading with the Chiefs. It blows my mind. Like, every time they got the pick that got them Patrick Mahomes and they got the pick that got them Xavier Worthy, the Bills only have themselves to blame.
All right. So where do we go from here, Maddie?
Yeah, so as we were talking about, will Derrick Henry bring impact? I thought we should move over to the Eagles and the Packers. And obviously, is Saquon Barkley the final piece for the Eagles? Is he the piece that gets them over the top? Because Saquon Barkley had an amazing game of football. He 3 touchdowns, 132 total yards, and he's just adding a great running back into an already well put together team does make a huge difference. We saw it with Christian McCaffrey. I know, like, we've spoken about how Saquon Barkley isn't Christian McCaffrey, but we saw it with Christian McCaffrey, where you put a great running back into an already well-built team, they tend to have a huge impact.
Anybody who saw my face, it's because I'm in a group chat with an Eagles fan and the king fucking Eagles hater right here. So I'm kind of exhausted with this Eagle talk. I think Saquon Barkley is a great addition. I think Saquon Barkley is a great running back. But I still am going to argue to Hitman. He's not a Hall of Famer. Quit comparing him to Christian McCaffrey. He might be a Hall of Famer someday, but he's not. If Christian quit today, he's a Hall of Famer. We got to stop with the wild comparisons. I think Saquon Barkley is the perfect running back for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, I think Saquon Barkley's ground and pound game really fits with what the Eagles do. I think the play call that got him isolated on the middle linebacker for his throwing touchdown, and a great throw from Jalen Hurts as well, was a really great play call from Kellen Moore, and it showed good improvement from last year. So that was really great. From them, I think the Eagles have done a great thing in adding Saquon Barkley, and I think the Giants are stupid as fuck for giving him away. The only problem is I do have worries about the Eagles. That's why Jay rolled his eyes. We'll talk about it really quickly. Won't go too much on the Eagles. I do agree with you. I don't want to read too much into week 1, but the Packers maybe should have won that game. Like, the Packers should have already been ahead 14 points in the first quarter. But the Packers were playing horrible as well. So they gave the Packers, who were playing horribly, 400 yards, 29 points. And the problem with the Eagles last season, at the end of the season, they were playing some of the worst defense in the league. So they did some great things. Some big stops, 2 great turnovers as well. But giving up 400 yards and 29 points to a Packers team that were playing really bad football is not great.
If you look at our group chat, I even said this in there. I said, and this is why the Packers were even in the game. I said, oh, look, the refs are on their bullshit again this year. There was 2 phantom roughing the passer calls that helped the Packers. There was fucking phantom holding calls. Like, I don't know what was going on. And then let's not even get me started. And this was mostly in the Chiefs game, but you see it all over. These penalties for lining up on the offensive line is slowing down the game so much. Like, they're killing me.
Just tell them. Like, just, by the way, you lined up wrong. You know, just fucking.
And I'm going to call it next time. Yeah, like, these penalties.
Yeah.
I was like, I hit it in the comments and I said, oh, the refs are on their same bullshit again this year.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I was going to go more off on the Eagles than I thought I was going to, but I'm actually not. So like I think they won the game, right? I think they should have worries about their defense, but it's the first year, and also that pitch looks slippy as fuck. But get the right boots, the right cleats in American.
I don't think there
longer studs.
I don't think there was the right cleat though, because even after they switched out, people were still slipping. Like they even talked about the Eagles put on different cleats during the game, and they were still slipping. Like it was the wildest. I don't understand how they can't get fucking fields right when you go to another country. It just blows my mind on how a league like the NFL, who has all this money, has all this technology, and you can't get the fucking field right.
So they fixed the problem in the UK a little bit of slipping. Now there's other problems with the, like, apparently people seem to get more injuries when they come to the UK, because I think it's something to do with the travel time. I think it's something to do with like not being in the right space. But they now have in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, at least, they have the float on pitch. So they have a specially made NFL pitch that they float onto the field before they have the NFL game. So they're not playing on the football pitch anymore. They're playing on the same turf that they play an NFL game on. So that's a great way to fix that problem. You don't see a lot of slipping around. It'll be interesting to see how much of the defensive issues, because the defensive issues were a lot of blown coverage. I thought, like, actually defense on defense was fine, and then there was a lot of blown coverage. So I wonder how much of that was down to slipping around, and a lot of overcommitting. So overrunning the tackle. So getting on the wrong side, and then AJ Brown is gone, or Jalen Reed is gone, So I wonder how much of it is the field. It'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I agree with you. The international, we want more international games. As an international fan, I love seeing the international games. I think it's great, but you need to get them right. And if you're not going to get them right, then the NFL is going to take them away. So let's start getting them right, please. I also just wanted to say the 2 snap fumbles, and they went 1-on-3 on the tush push. Like, that could be missing Jason Kelce. However, let's give the starting center a bit of a break, starting center.
I'm going to be fair. I think that's 2 separate things. The missed snaps, that'll be fine. I'm not worried about that. I don't know about the tush push because of the way, if you watch how low Kelce comes up. Like, I don't know. I think I'm not worried about the snaps at all. I don't believe they're going to be as good with the tush push as they were. I think that's 2 separate situations with the center, but it has nothing to do with that it's a new center for the tush push. It's just you're not Jason Kelce. The new center actually the exchange, which I think will be fine moving forward.
And actually, Cam Jurgens did have a great game in terms of run blocking. He was awesome. Like he did really great. So once they get that snap worked out, I'm sure that'll be fine. Obviously, some terrible news for the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love is out for 3 to 4 weeks. How do you think that affects the Green Bay Packers?
I'm a selfish prick. It affects my fucking pick. It affects my fucking pick of who wins the division. That's what the fuck it affects. But I think they're fucked. I think they're fucked. Malik Willis, is this who they're running with moving forward? I don't.
So the depth chart says Malik Willis.
That fucking guy not even getting the throw off. Okay, like, don't get me fucking started on. You don't even get the ball up in the air on your last play for the Hail Mary. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking.
Yeah, it was pretty impressively bad. Now they could go for someone like Ryan Tannehill off the street. Who's still out there? Like a trade for a Case Keenum.
You bring somebody in, how long does it take them to learn your system? 3 weeks? 4 weeks?
Yeah.
And then Jordan Love's back. So, and then you just traded for Malik Willis. I don't know what they do. They're fucked. I'll be shocked if they win a game without Jordan Love.
So, yeah, that then brings me on to the next point. So I think Malik Willis can be a very up and down quarterback. I think it'll be interesting to see how he does, but I don't think he wins you football games. I think he might get you some great plays every now and again. But the next 4 games are the Colts, the Titans, the Vikings, and the Rams, and that makes up the longest potential of Jordan Love's injury. Now, they're saying it's a high ankle sprain. Patrick Mahomes came back after a week.
They're saying it's a knee. MCL sprain.
It's a knee.
It's an MCL.
Oh, I got high ankle
Unless
sprain
they said something different this morning, but like all yesterday, and Tom Pelissero said it's MCL sprain 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, let's go. That 3 to 6. Oh my God, I thought it was 3 to 4, but
it was 3 to 4 at first, and now Tom Pelissero said that's being optimistic. Most of these injuries take 3 to 6.
Yeah, and now if you go look at our Thursday pregame show, which thank you very much, guys, hitting a lot of views. It was good to see you all again. So always really appreciate you, like, share, and subscribe and stuff. We decided that the NFC North is perhaps the toughest division in football this year.
Yeah,
right?
Even if it's not
closest,
the toughest, it's going to be definitely a battle through the whole thing for everybody. Yeah. Dan Orlovsky has 3 teams going to the playoffs, and the Bears aren't one of them. Yeah,
so if you start the season, if they need to win at least 2 of these next games so they can start the season 2-3,
and they're not gonna.
Right? Yeah, I don't think. I'm not sure how. I bet they're wishing after I thought Josh Jacobs looked all right, but Aaron Jones looked way better.
I said this too. Like, at best, that was a lateral move. I don't think Jacobs is better than Aaron Jones. Maybe the same, but it was a lateral move, so it didn't make sense to me. And then again, it is week 1, but Josh Jacobs, even with the Raiders, was hit or miss at times. Like, he was 120 yards or 54.
Yeah, I also think the O-line had a really good game, but I wonder how much of that was the turf as well, because we saw it in the Super Bowl, obviously, and in Arizona, where the turf was causing people not to be able to rush the passer as much as we thought it was.
And Carter and all of his penalties, too, on that defensive line for the Eagles didn't help the fucking Eagles at all either. Yeah.
So the Packers couldn't get it done this game against an Eagle. Like, it's important to mention that the Eagles did not play their best game. Like, Jalen Hurts gave.
Oh, nobody looked great in that game.
Nobody looked great. That's why I think it's good that the Eagles won, and I don't think they're as bad as I make out in our group chat, because I think it's fun to just argue with Hitman. I'm not more reasonable on the show, I would say, than I am in our group chat. But I think if I'm coming out of the Eagles-Packers game as an Eagles-Packers fan, I'm a bit apprehensive about both of our teams, because I think both of them could say we should have blown the other one out at separate points of that game. But it'd be interesting to see how the Packers line holds up, and if their defense can do anything. Like, if the
cheers
Colts
to the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL on the bench for 3 to 6.
Yeah. And we'll see Anthony Richardson today. If he looks anything like what he looked like last year with a year's improvement, they're going to struggle against him offensively. The Titans have a weirdly good wide receiver room and an interesting quarterback situation, so we'll see how they do that. The Vikings have the best wide receiver room in the league, potentially, with Sam Darnold, who's one of the 32 best quarterbacks in the NFL, so at least they have a starting, a guy who should be a starting quarterback, so going to struggle there. And then the Rams, who are my Super Bowl pick, they're going to struggle there as well. So they could potentially start the season 0-5 because of this injury.
Did you see Aaron Jones'
the Packers season already over? No, go on.
Aaron Jones said that he was praising Sam Darnold, and he goes, I played with different quarterbacks, and he said he feels a lot like Aaron Rodgers.
I always like Sam Darnold, just to put.
I don't know if I'm going there. I'm just saying that's some pretty high praise from your running back.
That's a good teammate. He reminds me
of a first ballot Hall of Famer. That's a pretty high praise.
That is a good teammate. That right there for Sam Darnold. Now, Thursday and Friday Night Football's done. We're now looking forward. We're looking forward in an hour. We've got the first games of the NFL Sunday. And I just want to start this off by saying NFL Sundays are my favorite day of the week. No one can ever ask me to do anything. I tell all of my friends and family, don't ask me to do anything during an NFL Sunday. Like, I might do something for you if you want me to, but don't expect me to do anything for you during an NFL Sunday, because this day is my day for 4 months of the year, and it's so exciting. All right.
All right.
Yes. So we're going to start. How we're going to do this is the way that we do our picks is we do them by the spread because we think the spread is the most important thing because we want to give you guys our insights of the bets. We don't do it on like win or loss. We just do it on the spread. So if you want to follow our bets, then feel free to follow our bets. And I'll actually be tracking our picks throughout the season, Jay, so we can work out who did it better at the end of the year and how much money we would have been up if we were gambling men, you know. And I think we should start off with the Saints versus the Carolina Panthers. The Saints are -3.5, Jay. What have you got there?
Give me the Saints -3.5.
Yeah, I think there's a few of these that we're going to run through quite quickly, by the way. I've highlighted the ones that we'll talk about a little bit more. But I think this Panthers will make a step forward during the season. I think Bryce Young looked all right at the end of the year. It's way too early. For them, the Saints experience, give me the Saints -3.5 as well. Moving on to the New York Giants versus the Vikings. The Vikings are favorites by -1.5. Jay, hit it.
Vikings -1.5.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if the Vikings didn't win this game -1.5. Why are you going for the Vikings -1.5?
Talent. I mean, it's simply that, like talent. The Giants are so void of talent that it makes me wonder. And don't get me wrong, it's the NFL. Everybody's a pro, and yes, they could win. But Vegas is even saying on a neutral field this is a 4.5-point game. I think the Vikings should win by more than 7. I don't know if they will, but they should. And that's the thing. But again, it's week 1. You never know what's going to happen. But I think if you go position by position, you're going to be hard to find somewhere that the Vikings are behind or at least far behind the Giants at a position.
Yeah, so when I looked at this, one, I always forget about the neutral field. Like you get -3 for being at home automatically. Always forget about that. So this makes it look a bit better than it was before. But I looked at that and thought, where are the Vikings just getting tanked because they have a backup QB? Because I would rank Sam Darnold higher than Daniel Jones. Like that's why I look at it. Like it's just the fact that Sam Darnold is second on the depth chart. Like, and he wasn't ever second on the depth chart, by the way. Like that's just important to say as well. Like I think we all thought that JJ McCarthy after his preseason looked like he was going to start, but just because Sam Darnold is the titled backup quarterback, the Vikings are getting tanked for this. But they had one of the better defenses to finish the season last year. They have 2 of the best wide receivers in the NFL in the same offense. And Sam Darnold looked good for the 49ers, spreading the ball around, and that's all they have to do. They've also improved their running back with Aaron Jones there. So there isn't a place where the Giants aren't better than the Vikings. At the end of the show, guys, we're going to be doing our top 3 best bets. And I would be surprised if this one doesn't feature again from at least one of us.
And the only reason I don't think Sam Darnold was going to, or JJ was going to start is because Kevin O'Connell is one of the most transparent coaches in the NFL. If you watch his interviews, and he made it pretty clear that they were not going to rush JJ. He didn't care if JJ was ready. Like he wanted JJ to learn the NFL. So I don't think I think Sam Darnold was the starter week 1, no matter what happened, but we will never know. I will say, it sucks for JJ McCarthy, but for the bonus, it's a positive for Sam Darnold because he doesn't have to worry about, am I one play away from getting pulled?
Yeah, definitely. And what's quite interesting about the Giants this season is they actually have made some quite positive moves, but it's not quite enough to close the gap yet to where they're going to.
Well, and you lose Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones is still your quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, I have this thing with Daniel Jones for against the Cowboys. Daniel Jones does always play quite well.
You love shitty running quarterbacks. That's what you love.
Yeah, maybe
Justin Fields, Daniel Jones. Yeah. You just love shitty quarterbacks.
If they can throw a deep bomb and run. Like Daniel Jones, when he first started, was one of the best at throwing deep bombs in the league, and he's just totally stopped doing it.
He is the
This
best
is actually
quarterback I have ever seen trip over the 20-yard line multiple times.
This is the one thing that's interesting about the Giants. I don't think it's going to be close. And I think they're possibly going to be picking second or third in the draft this year. They have got Malik Neighbors to throw down the field too, which is a vast improvement on what they've had previously. The offensive line has improved, so this could be Daniel Jones's best offensive situation, even without Saquon Barkley. But yeah, I don't see it from them. Moving on to possibly the worst team, and the team who I think are going to be picking first. This team that we're going to talk about is so bad that they've said our quarterback might be our best player. Our rookie quarterback might be our best player in the league. Might be our best player in the team, but we're not going to put him out there because that would be bad for us because of how terrible the rest of the offense is. We're talking obviously about the New England Patriots. They're playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. The spread is -7.5. What have you got there, Jay?
I don't love the spread because the Bengals start slow all the time, but New England is that fucking bad. Give me Cincy minus the 7.5 because I have zero faith in New England. I think Drake May, even though he's not playing, was the worst pick of the first round. And I have zero faith in Gerard Mayo. I know people are like, great coach, this and that. He's a defensive coach.
Yeah.
Comes across as like a meek and mild asshole instead of this over-the-top raging asshole. The only thing I think they got going for them is I like Elliott Wolf. I like their GM. So maybe they get there. I don't have a lot of faith in what they're going on. And Belichick left them with a fucking dumpster fire of talent. They're probably the least talented team in the NFL.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you on everything there. And I also don't love the spread, but then I thought about it. Maybe the Bengals only have to score 15 points to make this spread.
And it is the first time Joe Burrow had a full training camp.
Yeah, there's been problems. Obviously, Jamar Chase has had a hold in, and
I'm not worried about Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow's connection. They've been playing with each other since college.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not worried about it either. I think I think it's a take the Bengals. If it was me, I wouldn't bet on this, but I would take the Bengals because they only have to score about 15 points and they've got an offense that can do that. Moving on to possibly one of the most interesting quarterback situations in the league from both sides of the ball here. We've got the Falcons versus the Steelers. The Falcons are -4. What have you got there?
Okay, so my pick changed now that I found out that Justin Fields is starting.
Did your fantasy pick change now that you found out that Justin Fields is starting?
No.
No, you're not putting him in for fantasy this week.
No. Give me the Falcons minus the points because I think they walk all over the Steelers because I think Justin Fields is going to turn the ball over like 3 times and look like Justin Fields.
I agree with you. I think all you have to do is cover George Pickens down the field, which I mean is easier said than done. Guy does crazy, but if George Pickens makes 2 crazy plays in a game, right? If he makes as many as 2, which is quite a lot for big, huge plays from one wide receiver, they've still got nothing else. They've got nothing else. So we'll see how.
But that's a tight end, and to rely on a tight end unless you're the Ravens doesn't usually work.
Yeah, I mean Fields' only reliable route to passing the ball, it seemed when he was with the Bears, was to Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet put mad fantasy points along with Fields during that week. So maybe Pat Freiermuth goes off as well. I think it's a closer game than you think it is, but I'm going to take the Falcons -4 as well. I think Kirk Cousins just puts that over the top. I think it'll be really interesting to see how the Falcons come out and how they play their game, because obviously we've had this idea that they've got Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, like they've got this talent, and we've said, oh, it's Arthur Smith's issue. It's Arthur Smith's issue. Like he's not using them. Now's the time to see if that's true. We'll see how they come out, and we'll see how the Steelers start as well. So give me the Falcons -4 as well. I trust Kirk and the Falcons offense to get that done. One of the shortest spreads that I thought was the Colts versus the Texans. But obviously this is saying that the Texans will win by 6 points on a neutral field because the Texans are favorites by -6. Who are you picking here? -3. Texans are favored by -3. Sorry.
Give me the Texans in a stone cold lock.
Yeah, we like that one. I think that this is a interesting time to see if the Texans are Super Bowl contenders because they should put away this team, right? If they're going to be Super Bowl contenders, they need to put away teams like the Colts, the Colts might be a bit feisty, you know? They might be a bit of a feisty team. Give them a few challenges.
You mean the Vikings South?
The Vikings South. Yeah, I like that.
Daniil Hunter, I like Case Keenum, fucking Stephon Diggs. I can keep going. Like, this is wild. So look at their roster.
Yeah, definitely. So the Texans are the Colts are a team that the Texans need to put away and put away comfortably without exerting too much energy if they're going to be Super Bowl contenders. Now, obviously, it's week 1, so don't read too much into it. Also, fantasy managers out there, Anthony Richardson is a must-watch for you guys to decide whether you want to go make some big trades for Anthony Richardson this year if you're lacking in the quarterback room. So go watch Anthony Richardson as well. The Bills versus the Cardinals. The Bills are favorites by -6.5. What is your pick in this one, Jay?
Give me the Cardinals and the points. Chalk it up. Cardinals win, but give me the Cardinals and the points. How the fuck the Bills are favored? I don't know what Las Vegas is doing, and Las Vegas might be smarter than me when it comes to this. But Josh Allen has to play hero ball, and oddly, Kyler Murray has a better receiving core for him.
The Cardinals are a better team. Pretty much, like, if you go position for position outside of quarterback, the Cardinals are a better team than the Bills. I think the Cardinals will win this game. I'm going to take the points as well because it would be fucking stupid not to when they're giving you -6.5. But Kyler Murray has looked great at the end of last year. Like I take the piss out of the Eagles for losing to the Cardinals, right? The Cowboys lost to the Cardinals without Kyler Murray. At least the Eagles lost to the Cardinals with Kyler Murray, and the Cardinals were playing good football by that time in the year, and they looked really good. They've only got better because they've added an actual number 1 wide receiver to the team. Obviously, he's a rookie, so we'll see how Marvis Harrison Jr. actually shapes up. We'll find out if he is a number 1 wide receiver. But in theory, they have a number 1 wide receiver. Obviously, fantasy managers, he's a player that you need to watch as well.
People thought I was crazy. I thought Marvin Harrison was the 3rd best receiver in that draft, but
I wouldn't be surprised if he is the 3rd best receiver in that draft. But if he is the 3rd best receiver,
he'll still be great.
He's still amazing,
right? But I just had Roman and Malik Neighbors above in the other order. Malik Neighbors, then Roma Dunze. But
I think it's a style. I think it's a style thing between the 3 of them. Like Marvis Harrison Jr. is
that's what scares me is that he's not super fast, so he has to create his separation. That's the only thing that made me nervous. But I think Arizona should be a lock for this game, so I don't know where that came in.
Yeah, I didn't get it. The Bills are descending. The Bills are getting the Bills are getting worse, and the Cardinals are just getting better. So I feel like they're meeting each other. A great point for gamblers here. Wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about them again at the end of the show. The Bears are -4 favorites against the Titans. Who have you got here?
Neither. Give me the Titans and the points.
It's a worry that we're actually tracking our picks this week because we've got the same picks all the way down so far. I'm going to take the Titans and the points as well. Rookie QBs, especially number 1 overall rookie QBs, do not start the seasons well. They don't start well. And your debate of neither is because these teams look kind of like pretty similar in like a
and I don't know what to think of either of them.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm not ready to make a choice on either of these teams and where they're going to be by the end of the year. And they look kind of similar. The build is kind of similar. It's really interesting. And rookie QBs do not start well in the NFL. The Titans clearly. So I wasn't a big fan of Will Levis. did like how he tried to play last year and was just like, right, I'm here I might not be here for very long, so I'm just going to launch balls down the field to DeAndre Hopkins and we'll see what happens, right? But the Titans clearly think that they've got something here. They've added Pollard, they've added Snead, they've added Ridley, not cheap contracts to bring in if you're trying to rebuild a team, right? Like, they clearly think that they've got something and they're going for it here. So I think the Titans might be a sneaky worst to first team. I'm going to take the Titans with the points here. We now move down to Miami, where the Dolphins are playing against the Jaguars. The Dolphins are favorites by -3.5. What are you saying here?
Dolphins -3.5.
Dolphins in Miami during this time of the year, give me the Dolphins every time, Prima. They might be the best team in the NFL, like in Miami at this point of the year. Give me the Dolphins. I'm going to be really interested in Trevor Lawrence this year and where he goes, because this is it now. This might be his season. This might be his turning point. A totally different type of vibe in the weather, I imagine. We go to Seattle, where the Seahawks are -6 versus the Denver Broncos. What are you taking here, Jay?
Give me the Broncos -6.
Can you stop it, please? Because I've got the Broncos -6 as well. Why have you got the Broncos -6?
Because I have zero faith in Geno. Zero.
Yeah, and this kind of completely goes against everything that I just said about
how
rookie
did a
QBs.
young team get old overnight? Like, they went young, and I feel like they're old again.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I think it's interesting. This goes completely against what I said about rookie QBs, but like Bo Nix has had the most college starts in the history of actually good QBs. You know,
60 starts. You'll never see it again because of COVID.
Yeah, the 60 starts. Like, just to put that into perspective, that's about 60 more starts than Trey Lance.
That's five full college seasons.
Yeah, so I think he might be ready. And he went to the perfect team because Sean Payton will create a Bo Nix friendly offense, I think. I mean, they're going to run a Bo Nix friendly offense. It's going to be like not relying too much on the weapons, but a good big body receiver for a rookie quarterback in Sutton as well. I think it's
I like the -6.5 on there too. That's what made me feel
I love the -6 because I wouldn't be, for me, that's a field goal game. For me, that's -3. Yeah, like if it was -3, I'd go Seattle. I think that's where I'm at. I'm not saying that the Broncos will win, but I think they're definitely going to cover.
In case I confuse anybody, I mean, it's +6 for my pick, but the game has a 6-point spread.
Yeah. And just a reminder that the Broncos won 8 games last year. Like, I feel like that's just worth saying, like, over and over again. Like, everybody shits on the Broncos. The Broncos won 8 games last year.
And Sean Payton had a quarterback he hated.
Yeah, Sean Payton had a quarterback he hated, a defense he didn't like. It was his first year setting up the offense. I think it's like, that's fair enough. Chargers are -2.5 favorites versus the Raiders. Who have you got?
Give me the Raiders.
The Raiders, finally, we've got a different pick here. So why have you picked the Raiders?
Talent.
Talent.
Minus Justin Herbert, talent. Like, Justin Herbert's a way better quarterback. Who's he throwing to? What are we doing in that with the defense? How is this new team under Jim Harbaugh that gutted it and they're rebuilding going to look? I feel like the Raiders are going to come out and try to prove that their players, coach, and AP is who they wanted, and they are going to get behind Antonio Pierce. They're going to play hard. And you guys, Gardner Minshew had the fucking Colts on the verge of the playoffs last year, and he's got better weapons in Vegas with Devontae Adams and their receiving core. And I love that defense. And is there the way they're going, what they're doing with that defense? AP is a defensive coach. And do we see a better defensive player on that field than Double X Max? I don't think so.
Well, you say that. I think with the what I've been hearing from a few places, I've been reading a little bit into the Chargers because I'm just genuinely interested in the Chargers and why they got rid of all their wide receivers. And Jim Harbaugh is being nice to the media for the first time in his
that scares me a little too.
Does it scares me as well. It's like the first time he's happy. So he must like what he sees. And then you look deeper into the Chargers roster. They might have the best tackle duo in the NFL, best young tackle duo in the NFL, depending on how Joe Alt looks. Because it's Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater, like, is their best. Like, that could be a great tackle duo. And then their DN duo is Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, where both a bit over the hill, I grant you, but a really good defensive end duo there as well.
See, and I think that they used to be. Now it's some AARP cards, like standing in line at the fucking senior citizen center for the early bird special.
Wondering why Keenan Allen isn't there this week. Yeah. But yeah, I think I think they might have set something up in the Chargers where, because I quite like Lad McConkey. I don't think he's a number one wide receiver, but I do like Lad McConkey. Justin Herbert is the best quarterback easily in that duo, even though I like Gardner Minshew as well, and think that Gardner Minshew probably is one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the NFL. The thing that I've written at the bottom of my notes is that Justin Herbert wishes he has Devontae Adams, and Devontae Adams wishes he had Justin Herbert. That's what I have written at the bottom. If you could take one player to switch this entire game, it would be Devontae Adams and put him in the Chargers, right? That would just completely blow the whole thing apart. Give me the Chargers -2.5. I think Jim Harbaugh might be creating something down there that will be very scared about. Moving on now to the highest paid quarterback of all time. We have the Cleveland Browns -2.5 favorites versus the Dallas Cowboys. Go off.
Give me the Browns. I don't need to go off. Give me the Browns.
Right. Okay. So obviously, we've got a different pick there. Like, why have you picked the Browns?
Because they have a better defense. They have they have the best defense in the NFL last year. So let's not play like it's not. It's going to be the best, if not one of the top.
Yeah, the Cowboys will also have a top 5 defense in the NFL.
I don't think so. You fell off at secondary. That's where I don't think so. I think you guys last year, your secondary was part of the reason you were as good as you were. You lost 2 fucking corners that carried you through the whole thing. And I think top heavy, yes, CeeDee Lamb is better than Amari Cooper, but strength of wide receiver room, I think, goes to the Browns. I think Ford is a way better running back than anything you guys have. And I think their offensive line is better too. I think you guys lost fucking your left tackle is going to – I know you don't agree, but it's going to be an issue.
I don't agree with you on the offensive line. I agree with you with everything else, but I don't agree with you with the offensive line. But also, just a point out that Dak Prescott is a much better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, and quarterback.
I said minus quarterback
on the field. Right. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't hear that bit. I think on the defense, I think I do agree with you. The Browns are a more well-rounded defense. I think it's a shame that Deron Bland is on IR. Like, obviously, I think that's a shame.
Yeah, that's a huge thing for me.
A huge thing that no one is talking about. Yeah. It's a huge thing that no one is talking about. And I wonder if they knew that Deron Bland was going to go on IR if they signed Stephon Gilmore. Like, I imagine they would if they knew he was going to go on. We've got some rookie cornerbacks that everybody really likes, apparently, but obviously that's from the Dallas Cowboys side. We'll see. So I'll be interested to see how the defensive line plays. Now, this is the perfect game to see if the Dallas Cowboys have an offensive line. I love what I see from Tyler Guyton. You know, I was huge on Cooper Beebe coming in and playing center for the Cowboys. I think it's not the test that I would have liked first up for them. I wouldn't have minded them having a few NFL games under their belt before they go up against this Browns defensive line. But let's see where they get to. I think it's mad that it's -2.5. I thought the Cowboys would be favorites. Give me the Cowboys to win the game there. But I'll take the points. Well, there's no point in taking the points. Just give me the Cowboys to win the game. And we'll see what happens there. But I think players to watch as to whether the Cowboys are a really interesting team this year as to whether they're going to have a great season this year. Because the Browns, I think, like the Browns made it to the playoffs with Joe Flacco. So we know the Browns are going to be a good team this year. The players to watch as to whether the Cowboys are going to be a good team this year is Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, Marius Leafau, Eric Kendricks, Trayvon Diggs, and Terrence Steele. Those are the players where if they have good games tonight, the Cowboys are fine. The Cowboys are rolling.
You just realized that out of all those names you mentioned, most viewers probably know 2.
Yeah, that's why I'm bringing them to attention.
Unknown players. That's how far the Cowboys have slid.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like we know what Dak Prescott is.
Yeah,
we know what CD Lamb is.
If 5 guys have a fucking good game, then you have a chance to win.
No, I said they're rolling. If those 5 guys have great games, I said they're rolling. That's that's 12 wins if those guys are as good as I hope they are. Okay. Moving on now. Final game of Sunday night. We have Bucks -4 versus the Commanders. What have you got?
The Commanders and the points.
I thought I was going to blow your mind by picking the Commanders and the points. I really did think I was going to blow your mind by picking the Commanders and the points there, but I think they're the better team, right? I think the Commanders have made significant improvements.
I think Jaden Daniels is going to surprise people, and they're not going to know how to play him for the first couple weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I think Jaden Daniels, I 100% agree with you. I think Jaden Daniels will fall off around week 7, week 8, when people work out just to see where he goes. That's where I think he'll fall off. I fucking hope so. I mean, he's my fantasy quarterback, so let's see what happens there. Obviously, really good defense coming into town, so it'd be really interesting to see what it goes with. I think the Commanders made some huge strides forwards during the preseason. I know we had a bit of back and forth about Austin Eckler, but he's definitely an upgrade as to what they've got. According
to you, he's not going to play. He's just going to cheer from the bench.
No, I just said he's not going to play as many downs. That's what this. I think. Do you know what? I think the reason that Austin Eckler was getting out of the Chargers, I think Harbaugh might have met him. I think Austin Eckler might have said, "I don't want to play as many downs this year," and Jim Harbaugh might have just blown a fucking gasket. That's just the opposite of what he might ever want to hear. Terry McLaurin obviously is one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. They have let's see how their offensive line holds up. But when you have a guy like Jaden Daniels back there, it kind of nullifies how good your offensive line needs to be. So let's see where they get to with that. Obviously, they got rid of their 2 best pass rushers last year. So let's see if they've done anything on the defensive line. But yeah, I think the Bucks played much better last season. I think the Bucks got a lot of results last season. Then it's like when the Vikings won so many one-score games in a season, and then the next season they couldn't buy a 1-score game win. I feel like the Bucks might be on that same trend this year.
Yeah, well, don't get me started, because the Vikings had 11 games that were decided by 1 score last year too. They didn't win them all. I'm just saying exactly. 1-score fucking games are going to give me a fucking heart attack.
Yeah. Moving on to tonight's game, first Sunday night football of the season. The Lions are playing the Rams, and the Lions are -4 favorites. What do you think there?
Rams are -4. Give me the Rams +4.
I thought you were going to say that. I flip-flopped.
I think the Rams win it. Quite a lot. So if you're going to give me points, I'm definitely in.
Yeah, I flip-flopped between this one quite a lot. I picked the Lions in the end because I'm worried about the amount of movement on the Rams offensive line. I think the Rams offensive line is going to be great midway through the year, because I think that's what the Rams do, right? I think they might start slow, and I think the Lions will have the opposite effect. I think Dan Campbell, they'll all still be happy with Dan Campbell until about halfway through the season this year. And if they get a few losses that they shouldn't have done, it'll all unravel. So let's see. Give me the Lions -4.5.
If my picks are correct, the Vikings will be a number 1 in the division after this weekend. I don't know. I didn't plan that, but I just realized I picked everybody but the Vikings to lose this week.
I've realized I've realized since doing this show with you, Day, I've become a minor Vikings fan as well. Like, but I don't believe in having second teams, but I always want the Vikings to win, unless it's against the Cowboys.
No, but see, it's different for. I don't have a second team, but every season I find myself having a sweetheart team.
Yeah, for me, a lot of the time it seems to be the Cardinals as well. There was that one year where it was the Browns for the both of us.
Yeah,
that was good until they signed Deshaun Watson.
Last year with the Texans, they took off, and then by the middle of the season, I was a pseudo Texans fan for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and our final game of Week 1. What a packed Week 1, and this is a great game to finish off. By the way, excited with this one to finish it off. The San Francisco 49ers versus the Jets. The 49ers are -4.5 favorites. Who you got?
Give me the Jets, Jets.
Tell me more.
Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, all coming together, staying healthy. Mike Williams, I can keep going. That defense is nasty, and it's not a shot at the 49ers, but y'all had a rough offseason. Y'all had a really rough offseason. And if there's going to be any traces of that left, it's going to be in Week 1, because I think we all agree that San Francisco is going to be in the playoffs, going to be a serious contender, going to depend. And that doesn't necessarily mean I don't think you have them going to the Super Bowl. I don't remember, but like they're still going to be in the playoffs. Or wait, did we both have the same Super? I don't remember, but
we did, yeah. Rams,
yeah,
Chiefs,
Rams,
yeah,
Chiefs.
Rams, Chiefs.
So, but I don't think any of us are going to sit here and go, "Oh, the 49ers are going to suck this year." I don't think that's a thought.
No,
but I do wonder how Chase and IU, I know different teams, but like holding in, how that's going to affect your cardio for the first couple weeks. Trent Williams being out, is that going to be effect? I think it might actually help him, but you never know. What was the toll it took on the team? Not that they weren't there, but every fucking question had to be every player had to be so sick of, and they're not going to be mad at the player because they're like, go get your money. But you've
done us a favor.
But it wears us down to have this distraction of talking about these two dudes the whole off season. And I think and beyond that, I think the Jets are just going to be so pumped to go out there and prove what they can do with Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be so pumped to be back. And Aaron's not going to be one that lets the emotions get him out of his game. I think it's just going to make him better. I think you're going to see a Jets team. This might be the best game they play all year because of the whole last year and the offseason they had. I think the Jets are going to be ready.
Do you know what no one's talking about?
And I like the points in that game because I think
the points are nice.
Yeah,
the points are nice. Do you know what no one's talking about the Jets this year? Because everybody's saying Aaron Rodgers, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, good offensive line additions. They were one of the best defenses in the NFL last year.
I don't think we had. I think that just people. I think people just assume that's a given. We already know that Sauce Gardner and those boys are going to come to play. Yeah,
exactly right. So we're all talking about this. However, I'm going to take the 49ers in this one. I'll be interested to see. I flip-flop between this one as well. I flip-flop between this a lot. So just one sec. We'll see the Garrett Wilson-Rodgers connection. We'll see how that offensive line comes together. The 49ers have a stacked team. I think the 49ers will struggle late in season, but not early in season. So I've got the 49ers for that game, but I don't hate the pick of the Jets, especially with the points. Do you think anyone will have a kickoff return for a touchdown today? Who have you got?
I hope so, but no, because I think a lot of teams are going to kick out the end zone, but I could be wrong. Right? So let's watch and see what they do, because the Packers had a and this is what I was saying this offseason. Payne and I talked about this a lot. The Packers did that line drive where it hit the fucking returner in the feet and then fucked everything up, and then they got tackled within the 20. If there is kickers who can line drive that bitch straight at the back of the end zone, make it bounce to where it's only a 20 if it goes into the end zone, because if it lands in that landing zone, if people don't know this, if it lands in that 20-yard landing zone and then goes in the end zone, it's a 20-yard touchback. So it comes back to 20. If they shoot for that, you may have some problems like the Packers did in their game when they were kicking off. they caused some problems. But I think coaches are just going to be like, I am not giving you motherfuckers a touchdown. I don't know how this is going to go. Kick it out the back of the end zone. But I hope we see a touchdown off of it. I just hope it's not the Giants doing it.
Yeah, I think Russell Wilson getting injured might have robbed us of something beautiful today, because I was so excited for the Steelers potentially losing Justin Fields in the backfield, like in the kickoff return game. I was so excited for that, and it's a shame that there's no way. I doubt that they were going to do it anyway, but there's definitely no way they're doing it now today, which is a shame. I think the one team I would look out for to score a touchdown, if I had to put a bet on a singular team, I think Mike McDaniels has probably got something fun for the Miami Dolphins to do in Miami. They're the kind of team that would do this, just all out pace the whole time. Look out for the Miami Dolphins getting a touchdown. If anybody's going to do it today, I think that's where it'll be. All right, moving on to our final segment of today, Jay. Quick 5 minutes. 3 best bets for this weekend for everybody to go out and make. What should they be putting their money on for you? I'll do mine first, and then you can jump in and hit yours. So for me, we've already discussed this. I was surprised that the Cowboys weren't favorites, so give me the Cowboys plus 2.5. There, I think an obvious one is the Cardinals plus 6.5. Go put your money on the Cardinals if you're a betting person. Obviously, disclaimer: don't bet money that you don't have. Don't bet money that you're not willing to lose. And finally, the Vikings minus 1.5. I think that is a top tier bet, and I think all 3 of those will come good for you if you go and book those today.
All right, for me, I got the lock bets are Bengals over the Patriots, Cardinals over the Bills, and Texans over the Colts.
The Texans over the Colts is a good one, and the Bengals versus the Patriots. I was so close to putting that, but it's so close. Because the Bengals just have to score 15, so we'll see where they we'll see. Where
I love that line you came up with, and I'm not against it. It's just the most random line. Like, they need 15, they got this. So
the Bengals need to score 15 points, and they make that spread. Because all right, any team in the NFL on any given day is good for a touchdown, right? So they need 15 as they go through. But yeah, great show. We've got 15 minutes till kickoff. I make it, unless my time differences are all messed up. No, I'll be watching it on the train.
If we want to be picky, it's 14 minutes, but yeah, 15 minutes sounds good.
15, 14, fine. But yeah, another great show. Thank you so much, guys. Like, share, subscribe, and Jay, send us off as you always do.
One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.